So one other thing that I'm doing while I got this whole front end tore apart, trying to be a little proactive here. You can see there's parts on the bench here. This is parts from the front axle, and these are the parts that actually shift this thing into four-wheel drive. It's the passenger side part of the axle. Basically unbolted that from the center section of the axle. And I got my tube. I cleaned it up and painted it. I'll show you that shortly. But yeah, these are all the parts. I've actually ordered a kit to replace this gear, which I don't have the new gear yet. I can't show you. But you should be able to see that this gear is tore up pretty bad. So I'm glad I went in here. I'm glad I opened this up, because this was probably going to be a problem, if not already a problem. Everything else looks good, but they'll send new washers. This washer is pretty chewed up. I believe they send a new one of those. They send a new one of these washers, which looks pretty worn. This is all right. The collar, the shift collar, looks fine. Actually, I don't see any wear on this side either, this is the side that was chewed up. But it looks good. The collar looks good. I think they actually send a new little spring deal that locks the cable on there. Basically what happens here is your cable pulls this shift fork. This is in here like this. And it couples this axle, it couples this one with this gear here. And this gear here, this gear is on this shaft right here. It's on the end of this one right here. I believe it goes like this on there. And when you push the button on the four-wheel drive, you got a vacuum actuator that moves the shift fork, and that's what causes the front axle to engage. So glad I went in there and pulled this apart. Okay, so just a little warning. Be careful when you're pulling this axle tube out. There's parts in here as you pull it out. There's parts in here that are going to want to fall out. You don't want really anything falling out and getting damaged. So just be careful. Your shift fork is going to want to come out with your tube and everything. So yeah, you don't want stuff falling out. So just be real careful as you pull in this shift or this axle tube off of here. You can also see there's 5 mounting bolts here. 3 of these hold the shifter cable on there. So you'll have 2 more on top that you got to take out. Okay, so I got my seals, my shifter seal, and my seal where the CV axle goes through. You see there's a steel side. The steel part goes to the inside. That's the SKF part number for the main seal here. This shifter seal is a little harder to find, but you can find it. Also got my new gear here. Yes, it's a Dorman kit. But again, find this somewhere else. It's really hard to find some of these parts. Comes with a new clip there to lock this gear on. Then there's also some washers and stuff that it comes with. to replace these worn out washers. This one's really bad. This one ain't so bad, but it's still a little bit wore. But so now I got everything I need. I got my axle housing. You see I got it cleaned up, and I just threw some paint on it just because I got it out here. Just popped out the shifter seal, which goes right there. It goes in like this. You got to push it in from the inside. So I got to flip it over, pound my new seal in. Using my little seal driver kit that I got. This is, I think, like for motorcycles. It's got some really small stuff, but it's got a perfect size little seal driver to drive that in. Also drive the big seal in at the top here. Yeah, I'm going to start putting all this stuff back together. Okay, so I'm going to try to explain how all this stuff goes. My camera will not connect to my phone, so hopefully you can see everything that I'm showing because I can't see it very well. Got my new gear. I'm going to slide it on the end of the shaft that's got the little pointy deal on it. Along with that, once the gear's on, you put this little snap ring thing that they send in the kit. That goes on, that locks this gear on so it can't come off. So then you got a bigger washer here, and there's grooves. Hopefully you can see it. One side has like 3 grooves in it. That's going to go towards the gear. So we're going to lay it here, and the grooves are going to go up on this axle tube. Then you can drop the axle down in there. Then there's another washer, and again it has 3 grooves again, and that's going to go towards the gear. It's going to go on the axle. So the gear is actually going to come out like this once it's in the axle, and then this washer will be up against the gear. So that's how that's going to go. That's actually ready to be put back onto the center section of the axle. So I'm going to go over to the center section and show you the assembly on that. Oh yeah, I put my new seal, shifter seal is in, and also I've got the new seal on this side, the bigger seal. See, that axle is going to stick out like that, and then you slide your CV axle is going to slide on to this axle. So that's normal to stick out. Let's go back to the truck now. Okay, so we're at the differential under the truck now. I got this washer here, and this has to be installed just like so in the diff. You can't install it any other way. That's the way it's got to go. Then you're installing the little axle deal. Now you can see my fingers are all sticky here because I'm putting assembly lube on everything. The washers, bearings, all the little needle bearings and everything. Just so nothing starts out dry. You do not want any of this stuff starting out dry. Just a second of turning dry could ruin these bearings and washers and stuff like that. So I do that with everything. Even the gears, I got some lube on the gears even. So the next thing that's going to go in place here is the shift fork with the shift collar on it. It's going to go in the hole there, and you're going to line up this with the gear. Now this shift collar, you can see the tapered side of the thing here, that has to face towards the axle tube. That's got it, because it's going to be coming out and it's going to be pulled out and it's going to be coupled with the gear that I just stuck on in the axle tube. So it's going to come out like this, and it's going to couple these gears together when you hit the 4x4 switch. So I put lube on everything. Again, I put lube on everything. You don't want to forget about this spring here that goes in there. And that's it for assembly here. Now I'm going to take that axle tube that I assembled and I'm going to bring it up here, and I'm going to slide this part goes into that new shifter seal that I just installed. I put a little lube on that too, and you got 5 mounting bolts just like he took it off. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a shot at me putting this up in here, but I'll do my best. Okay, so here we go. I got RTV up there. My manual is talking about Loctite 514. I have no idea what that is, but hopefully the RTV will work out. I think it will. A hard time seeing inside there. I got the light here for you guys, but I can't see very good. So I'm gonna get some bolts started in here, hopefully, so it holds it in place for me. Probably gonna put anti-seize on these bolts because they're steel bolts going into an aluminum housing, so probably a good idea to do that. Trying to hold all these bolts in the axle tube and get these nuts started is not the easiest thing to do. Okay, so now I'm going to get the rest of my bolts in here. Or I'm not going to get the rest of my bolts in here. I got to get the 2 up top are the first ones. And like I said, I got to get some anti-seize on these. Anyway, I'm going to put the 2 up there, the 2 top ones, and then I've got the shifter cable. Remember that. We'll get back to that in a second. Let me get these 2 bolts up in there. Okay, so I got my 2 bolts started up top. You're not supposed to snug them down. I got my little clip here, little spring clip. You got to take that off because you can't get this shifter thing through your seal without this being off. So that's got to be put back on. It kind of pops in like that. And then your shifter cable, it's got like a groove in it. So it'll lock in. Should lock in. I don't believe you need any sealant on this shifter deal, because you got a seal right here, so you shouldn't have to. I don't know why you'd have to seal that. I think I saw a guy put sealer on that, but so my shifter, my deal isn't popping in. It's supposed to. Well, I'm gonna have to play with that, but that's supposed to go in and lock. Okay, so I was finally able to get the cable to clip in. Just had to play with that clip. When I unclipped it, I must have bent it up a little bit. So you got to get it re-bent and clipped in there so it holds that cable. Hopefully it's going to hold that cable, because if it pops out when I need four-wheel drive, that's not going to be a good thing. But I put some new loom on my wire because it was looking pretty bad. Dielectric grease on my plug here. I'm going to plug it back in. I cleaned the plug out. There's actually a little screw here, and this goes into, there's a little deal that holds that. So that goes like that. I'll tighten that up later. And then I'm going to make sure that none of my steering is hitting this wire. Probably have to, well, actually, if you send it up that way, I think it stays away from the steering. But I may zip tie it just to make sure it stays away. But pretty much that's it, guys. Oh, torque these bolts to 35 foot-pounds, these 5 bolts. I got my mounting bolts tight up here. So that's pretty much it for under here. There's 2 mounting bolts right there that I didn't kind of show you, but yeah, there's 2 there. You'll see it when you start unbolting this axle tube. But yeah, there it is, guys. Ready for my new CV axle to go through that seal there, and hopefully my four-wheel drive is going to work good. I'm probably going to end up changing the vacuum deal that actually pulls this cable. I'm going to probably unhook it, make sure this cable moves freely, and if I have any binding in that, I'll have to change the cable too. But hopefully, I'm hoping the cable's all right. But sometimes when you got a chewed up gear like that, it can be because your vacuum actuator isn't actually pulling it enough. So that could be a sign of another problem, not just the gear here. So anyway, I'll probably do that in another video. That's going to do it for this one. Hopefully you enjoyed it. You learned something. I'll see you.